You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Welcome all and welcome in. We are back. It's the Insight NFL Podcast, Week 9 primer and starts of the week show, our last show for the week to, just really put a bow on all the preparation that we've done leading into it. I can't believe it's week 9 already, but Thursday, the 30th of October, we've got the Ravens versus the Dolphins tomorrow to kick things off. The return of LAMAR. Secko, how are you feeling with that one, and how are you feeling as we close out the week?
Yeah, pumped. I mean, I love the Wednesday shows. When I'm on the Thursdays, it rivals it for me because this is going back to what I've loved doing forever, which is traditional fantasy football, and starts of the week are big ones. But yeah, on LAMAR, look, I'm pumped. I own him in quite a few spots, which is it's been a lot of Joe Flacco's and Sam Darnold's covering him in a couple of Superflex leagues. So I'm pretty pumped to have LAMAR back to a bit more sanity and past his bye now. So hopefully he's fit and firing all the way through.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And I know this is more of a traditional lens show, but I kind of hope LAMAR doesn't go absolutely nuclear just to bring that break even down and cost a whole heap more. But we'll get into SuperCoach next week. After that, it will be fun to get things off. A little bit of housekeeping as per usual. Both trade shows for SuperCoach and our players to buy low and sell high for week 9 are linked below. And also Captain's Huddle dropped this morning, which will also be linked, and we'll throw that up on socials. For Q&A tonight, we normally like to cover through that. We'll purely just stick to starts and sit decisions at the end of the show. But of course, we'll get to that once we get to it. Injuries and news, our last time that we have to highlight the injuries with all of the current reports that we have. We're still going to be more to come, of course, with us being a day behind the state. So hopefully nothing too much changes, but still we've got a whole heap to cover. So let's get straight into the injury update. Kicking things off, Joe Flacco is dealing with that right shoulder AC joint sprain. Fingers crossed. Where a lot of Jamar Chase managers, T. Higgins, also Chase Brown managers are holding their breath and praying that Flacco is healthy to start off in this one, because we do not want Jake Browning. We saw that experience for a couple of weeks. It is horrid. Secko, how are you feeling about Flacco? Do you think he probably plays in this one, or you're trading with a bit of caution?
Yeah. It's tough. It's literally deemed as a genuine 50-50 at this stage. It's in his right shoulder. It's an AC sprain. Like, those things can really hamper you. So it's almost I feel like Zach Taylor will make the call whether it's actually going to be a hindrance to their team. And they're playing in Chicago, so it's finally a winnable game. Even though last week was, and they somehow threw it away. And but yeah, they're 3-5. They want to keep winning games, and I think that obviously Flacco gives them the best chance. But if his shoulder's not great, it's not great, right? And we don't want Browning though. So anyone who's got Chase in any format, and obviously Higgins and Chase Brown, just want to keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that status through Friday and Saturday our time to get a clearer idea.
I'm now that I think about it, more so leaning towards maybe they sit him because they are on the bye next week. That O-line is terrible. All it takes is one hit and falling on that shoulder, and then he could be cooked for multiple. So yeah, but fingers crossed. We need him in there. One guy here that we do not need and would absolutely love if he sits on the pine this week, Ramondre Stevenson, the running back for the New England Patriots. Oh, what's happening there? It's he's dealing with a toe. Again, it's up in the air, TBD. We'll find out probably over the next couple of days if he does play in week 9. They've got the Falcons. I think they are at home. The Patriots are in this one. But I mean, like Secko, we've got here, they've signed a couple of guys from the practice squad. Like, is just Travion Henderson, is this just like, is he just completely done for the year? Like, I don't know what's happening there.
It popped up. The injury popped up post game, so it wasn't like it even happened. It was a toe injury. He's missing practice. They signed two running backs to the practice squad, which is always not always, but vast majority of the time it's a telltale that something's wrong with one of the running backs. The other backup guy, Terrell Jennings, the guy who was stealing some of Travion's work a couple of weeks ago, he's also didn't practice and he's also got an injury. So it's literally the case now where it may be Travion and no one, and somehow Vrabel will still find a way to give him only 10 carries and 55% snap time. So Now, if Ramondre's out, like this could be. I've been calling it. I've been sort of your love for some of the other rookies that have failed so far is a bit like mine. But against the Falcons, no, so who are they playing?
Yeah, the Falcons, at home, though, at New England.
They are?
Yeah.
At home. It just could be. I don't know. Like Trayvon's still in my SuperCoach team, so he's on a bunch of my rosters still. I haven't seen it being dropped many places yet, but yeah, if Ramondre is out, surely we get some explosiveness from Travion.
Fingers crossed, and if he's out there on waivers, it's definitely worth checking and picking up and stashing just in case he does go ballistic. Terry McLaurin, wide receiver for the Commanders, devastatingly in that loss to the Chiefs last week, he re-aggravated his quad injury that he missed some time on, and head coach Dan Quinn has already ruled him out for week 9. Absolutely hate to see it. Isaiah Pacheco, he's week to week with an MCL sprain with that knee. Rome Odunze, one here as well, with his heel injury, did not practice. Again, this one's I'm probably leaning more towards him starting. Not great signs. There's still a couple more practices to go, but how are you feeling about the Bears, Secko? Because it's not only Odunze, like Cole Kmet, he's week to week, looks like he'll miss, and then DJ Moore and Luther Burden, I think, also missed a couple of practices this week.
Yeah, so Burden went out with concussion last week. Not many players have played the week after concussion. I think Marvin Harrison did, but not many others have cleared in time. Yeah, so even Zacchaeus missed practice. DJ Moore did, and Kmet, like you said. So I feel like if Rome is anywhere near good enough, he'll play ahead of anyone else if they're all banged up. But yeah, we'll wait and see. It's nothing, not a cause for panic yet. Being Wednesday in the States is the last report we got.
And I think even with these players being questionable, even if they do play, the matchup is just so good, especially if Flacco is on the other side of the ball for the Bengals. So you can pretty much start them with confidence, I think, in this one. Couple of big-name receivers. Drake London, he's limited with practice. He missed last week. He was a game-time decision. Maybe he saw that Kirk Cousins was throwing the ball and he's like, oh, I'll just wait. I'll wait until next week. Brian Thomas Jr. dealing with that shoulder injury off the bye. He was seen in a red practice jersey. How do you feel about this one, Secko? And because I know Brian Thomas Jr., his catch rate has just been at devastatingly low number for the first 8 weeks of the year. But yeah, it's not looking too good for him this year.
No, look, it's not. And the reality is, I mean, what it is it's a rocket emoji for Travis Hunter, if I'm being honest. But you think about it, like BTJ was so good last year, but everything's different this year. So, I mean, his talent's the same, but different coach, different quarterback. Don't forget Mac Jones was his quarterback through his entire hot run in the last year. And just new offense and also more weapons around him. So, yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be like he was last year over the back 8 games. But, yeah, look, coming out of a bye, it's never good to be missing practice the week after that. So we'll see what happens there. But, yeah, it's Diami Brown was also missing practice. It's sort of one of those things we'll wait and see. But BTJ is still obviously playable in fantasy. He's not where you drafted him, and unfortunately, he's sort of not value. There's no value in trade, which makes it really hard because you may get one guy in every 10 leagues that sees the name and goes, "Wow, he was great last year after this stage," and you might be able to get one through. But I feel like everyone who's been watching any sort of fantasy this year knows that he's not what he was, unfortunately, and hopefully it's all injury based, and when he's fit, he's great again.
And a couple of guys that are on bye this week, but we still need to consider with what their outlook is going to be from week 10. Saquon Barkley and Quinshon Judkins. I believe Barkley was a groin injury, and then Judkins was that shoulder. Again, both on bye, so it is a bit up in the air with how they're looking for week 10 onwards. But how are you feeling about this one, Secko? I know Tank Bigsby for Saquon and the Eagles really stepped in. He could be a nice little play in this area, but are you confident in both that they'll start when they're back from the bye?
Yeah, Saquon said after the game that he was confident he'd be playing in 2 weeks' time. Problem is groins. Groins can just be like they can stick around. They can be real pains in the ass. For running backs, especially because they do a lot of stopping, a lot of pushing, a lot of that movement that really aggravates the groin more. So, just watch this space. Hopefully you picked up Bigsby when waivers ran yesterday. If you have Saquon, just so you got to be a backup there. Judkins is another one. It's a shoulder sprain. It's not diagnosed yet, but if it's any sort of AC sprain, it can be problematic. So again, Hopefully, if you're a Judkins guy, you've managed to secure. Dylan Sampson looks like he stepped in pretty well, and he was good at the start of the year before Judkins was playing. If you remember back, Judkins wasn't cleared to play till I think week 3, and Sampson had back-to-back double-digit fantasy outings to start the season. So there's options to back up there. We'll see what happens. Again, it's a bye week this week, and so it's 2 weeks of rest really for them, and hopefully they're both suiting up in week 10.
Fingers crossed. A couple of guys that are on track to return this week. Brock Bowers, very keen to see his return. Looks like he's all ready to go. Puka Nakua as well, which is another big name. Jaden Daniels, it looks like he's confirmed to go. And Lamar, which we did touch on. Ravens really need him. Nico Collins as well. He missed that concussion last week. Brock Purdy, Secko. I will ask you about this one, and there's one last name, but I had to save him for last. But how do you feel about Brock Purdy?
Absolutely.
With the 49ers?
It's so hard because 2 weeks ago, he was on track to. I own him in a league, and I've sort of been getting by without him. But I really think he's a chance of being great if it aligns with Kittle being back, eventually Ayuk being back and Pearsall being back. Is a chance he's going to be like he was 2 years ago. I think he was QB4, down the stretch. So problem is he was going to play in week 7, didn't. He practiced in week 8, was going to play, didn't. And now week 9, it's the same thing. He's limited again. So it's been sort of 3 weeks. It's turf toe, which makes it hard because that can just sort of take a long time to get really good. But I expect he'll be back. If not this week, it's going to have to be next week because even Shanahan said that he's getting close. So if it's not right away, it'll be next week. But if you've got him, I think it's hold at this stage because he really has that ability with his weapons to be better than who you've got to stream him, or stream for him. Sort of like your Darnolds or Lawrence's or Kyler's or Tua's or Aaron Rodgers and those sort of guys, Flacco. So I think it could be a little. If your record's good and you can hold the bench space, Purdy back in a week or 2 is great.
Yeah, it could be a nice buy low opportunity now. Looking at it, like their stretch run home. Fantasy playoffs 15 through to 17. Tennessee Titans at home, the Colts in Indy in the Dome, and then Chicago at home as well. So yeah, very, very plus matchups there across the stretch. And yeah, you're right. Ayuk hopefully on the way back, and Pearsall. I don't know. He's just he might have that early injury prone label. I know he got shot last year, but it hasn't been looking good for him this year at all. The fan favorite Secko that's also on track to return this week, and a lot of implications not only for fantasy and SuperCoach, but also how much we say his name on the show. I don't think that'll change. But JJ Wet Sock McCarthy is lined up to have the start, and he was hopefully he's back from that ankle injury because he doesn't really have any other option because Carson Wentz is on season-ending IR, which we touched on at the start of the week. So how are you feeling about JJ McCarthy? They are taking on Detroit at Detroit, and Aiden Hutchinson just signed that massive deal. So I think he could come out swinging in this one too.
It's a really good call. It's hard to know. Like anyone who can sort of predict with any sort of confidence what's going to happen with JJ McCarthy is kidding themselves. The positive, and this is sort of me being a little bit tinfoil hatty, I suppose, but the good thing is I think he's been past his ankle injury for a couple of weeks now. He's been fit enough to play football, and they've just sort of kept it up that he's injured just to give him some extra time and let Wentz sort of take a few hits. So I don't think we're sort of first week back from an injury kind of fitness level, which is positive. And he does like to you can get out and about. Detroit, let's be honest, Detroit aren't the Iron Curtain that they sort of were a couple of years ago. Hutchinson's amazing. They've got some good pieces in the secondary. They've got some good linebackers, but they're not shutting teams out like they sort of have in years gone by as much as they have. And so they are beatable. Some sort of trying to beat around the bush there to say they are beatable. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, he can support the guys we have in fantasy. I don't think, SuperCoach lens, I don't think anyone should be putting him on field or anything like that. I don't think you're in a position where you really have to, unless you're holding someone on a bye. But even then, I'd probably look elsewhere. But hopefully he supports Jefferson, Addison, to a lesser extent, Mason, Jones, and Hawkinson. But that's what we want from him. And good to have Socky back. He's back and he'll play every game now. So we're good. We're good to go.
Yeah, he could just switch to just straight socky from the old wet sock if he does perform
Well,
at the gate.
I
So
think he's going to keep. He has to keep the sock title somewhere. Like
sure.
whether he's dry sock, I don't know. We can figure something out.
Yeah, I don't
We can
think
figure
Mav will
something
ever
out.
let that one go. So yeah, that one's here to stay. But we absolutely love
Hope
it.
not.
They are all of the injuries that we have up to date at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. We will, please keep track over the next couple of days because there will be some more reports coming out after this show because there is a couple of guys there that are questionable at the moment for week 9. Starts of the week. Secko, we're back again, week 9. We'll go through all the positions, quarterback through to tight end, and then also a defense and special teams that we'll have here. I'll throw it to you to start off, Secko, but we'll just hit a nice little hot guys drop to kick things off.
Pull over by this hot guy and let me out.
Hot guys, here we go for week 9. Secko, lead us off with your quarterback at the start of the week.
All right, I'm starting with a hot guy. He used to play for a hot team. Now he plays for a slightly less, but still somewhat hot team. He's got a hot name as well, Jared Goff. It's a bit of a big call. Obviously, we were just speaking about Stocky and playing the Lions. They are playing the Vikings, but at home, and that's a really key point always with old Goffy. He's been a little bit, a bit of a lean period. He's been I think he's been pretty ordinary. 3 of his last 5 under 17 points per game in 6 points per passing. So he's been a bit off, but I think the bye at home after the bye is the big thing for him and where he's going to explode. So last 2 years off the bye, he's had 38.1 fantasy points and 27.1 fantasy points. Loves a rest, loves putting his feet up, getting around to do all the nice guy things that Jared Goff does around Detroit. He's a hero there. So Minnesota is quite susceptible to quarterbacking. Justin Herbert last week had 31.3. Hurts had 37 points a week before. Even Dylan Gabriel the week before that had 20 plus fantasy points, and that's Dylan Gabriel. Like let's be honest, if he can have 20 plus, surely Goffy can be good for a mid-20s to 30s. Very strong start, QB startable score. So fire up Jared Goff.
Yeah, I love it. And also a little sneaky thing with Vikings, how much they like to throw the blitz and rush the passer. Hopefully just a nice little dump off or pass to Jahmyr Gibbs to get him in for a touchdown instead of Gibbs running one in himself. We absolutely love the quarterbacks could share that all around. So no, I like this one. Secko, Goff off the bye and in the dome like the house cat he is. My start of the week is probably a little bit harder to digest when I say the name, but the matchup is it's the best matchup for quarterbacks in the NFL so far this year. Kyler Murray up against the Dallas Cowboys. He's also back off the bye. Again, this does hurt because I do watch the Cardinals games decently close, and I wish that I didn't just because they look just so horrid. Drew Petzing, the offensive coordinator, is disgusting. Even Jonathan Gannon, like the way that they coached their way out of the win against the Tennessee Titans just absolutely blew my mind. But in this matchup, Dallas, you saw what Bo Nix did to them last week. He top scored with, I think he nearly had 40 fantasy points. I don't expect that from Kyler, but I think 30 is in the range of outcomes. It's the highest total of the week in the Dome at Dallas, hoping for Marv Harrison Jr. touchdown at a minimum. And then hopefully Trey McBride can also get some work done in this one. But yeah, I just think that the matchup is too good, and Kyler can also add some production on the ground with his rushing production. So for me, yeah, it is Kyler, as disgusting as it is.
Okay, so it can be a hard watch. So I agree though. Like everyone who's played Dallas has performed. So you can't. It's just a matchup play as well. You got to go for it. Try not to watch too much of it because I've had Kyler for many years in many leagues, and God, it's hard. He ends up all right most of the time, but it's hard to watch doing it. God, it's gross.
Oh yeah. Running backs, Secko, we'll throw it to you.
All right, let's do it. This guy, I've taken a long time to warm to this guy, mostly because the guy he took over from was almost a my guy for me. It's Kamani Vidal. He's got all the clear runway. Looks like Hassan Haskins isn't practicing again, so it's going to be more just of that genuine true bell cow work, like he's had the last couple of weeks, or last 3 weeks really. and they're versus Tennessee, who I think are the best. I think you said before, Mel, I think they're the best team against, or the worst team against running backs in the league. They've given up 105 yards per game and 4 touchdowns the last 3 games. So that's that's a lot. That's a lot of points. And Vidal's gone over 100 twice himself. In 2 of the last 3 as well. He had 117 and a touchdown against Minnesota, who have actually been pretty decent against the run. So he's doing his job. He's getting the work. I think against this matchup against Tennessee, it's going to be a lot of Vidal carries, 20 plus. If he goes at sort of his 5 plus per clip, I think a 100-yard game is almost, I'm not going to say guaranteed, but it's a very high likelihood. And scoring 4 touchdowns the last 3 games against Tennessee by running backs, I think you're a fair chance to get that sort of that 15 plus points in fantasy points. So, yeah, strong start if you got him. It's got a long way to find a way to bench him.
If the Chargers don't win this one by multiple scores, I'll be absolutely gobsmacked. The Titans absolutely look horrid, and Joe Alt has just been a massive in back for the Chargers. He's just made that offense look that much stronger up there up front. My running back start of the week, this one does pain me to say because it is up against the Buffalo Bills, but Kareem Hunt, the Kansas City Chiefs. This one, again, it is gross. Look between the lines. Isaiah Pacheco was all ruled out this week. He's week to week with that MCL sprain. I don't know if they've officially ruled him out just yet.
I think he'll be out. Yeah.
Yes, but Hunt is back to health. He's logged a full practice day. He was dealing with a little bit of that ankle injury. He's just a touchdown scorer. Offense, he's already had 5 touchdowns and really in what's been a 3-way committee between Pacheco, Chad Smith, and also him. Now, why I really do like this and trying to remove my Bills fandom away from it. For the Bills, they've lost Ed Oliver, their star defensive tackle on that line. He's on IR with a pec strain. Hopefully not out for too much longer than that. But on top of that, the Bills have just been so leaky towards the running back. They've allowed the 2nd most touchdowns so far this year to the running back position. And in tow with that, they've allowed the 6th most fantasy points to running back. So in this game, that's going to be high scoring. It's an over 50-point implied total. I know it is at Buffalo, but just the injuries, I think they're going to try and really lock down the air. I know it is going to be hard with Mahomes and his full array of weapons, but if they can at least try and put more resources to stop that run. Oh, no, sorry. Other way around. They're not really going to be able to stop anything, honestly, whatsoever. Just to completely rewind that, I was train of thought just absolutely jammed there. I just still can't believe that I've picked Kareem Hunt as my running back start of the week, but I think it does just really line up. You know, it's going to be multi-scores. If they do get to that line, it's definitely not going to be Rashad Smith. Kareem Hunt is that goal line back within that 5-yard line. And with Pacheco out, we should see his snap share, I think, above 60% pretty comfortably. He's going to be that thumper. He's going to be the one getting those yards when they need to. And Rashad Smith is probably going to be that change of pace receiving yard back. So, yeah, Kareem Hunt for me as a running back start of the week, even though I just completely butchered a lot of that.
Now, look, I agree with you to quite a certain extent. Think of this is the kind of game where it's like think all the way back to week 1, the Bills versus Ravens game, where it was 41-40, and like everyone got some points. Like everyone, there's so many scores that everyone got in, everyone got looked after. That's the kind of game this will be, where Rice will do it, probably Kelsey will do it, Mahomes will definitely do it, but Hunt will do it as well with lack of competition. So no, I think it's a great shout.
Wide receivers, Secko, your man here.
This is a big call. I think I'm not going to call it the full changing of the guard yet, but Travis Hunter is my start of the week. And we sort of mentioned BTJ. He's a little bit injured. Even if he plays shoulder, he's had a wrist thing. He's had a bit of a heart injury as well. He's a bit soft at times. This guy is not soft. And we've seen a massive jump. The week before they had a bye last week, before his offensive snaps jumped all the way up to 87% from 59% over the previous 5 weeks, where he's playing a lot more defensively. And it's just showing he's a full-time offensive guy now. And since he went up to that 87%, 14 targets. Got absolutely peppered. Coleman had come out and said he was more of a focal point, more design plays for him. So I expect double-digit targets again from him, and they're playing Las Vegas. Las Vegas is just so exploitable. It's the kind of offense that makes Trevor Lawrence look good. He sort of needs that. He needs a bit of a cushy, if Max Crosby's double team, they really haven't got any way to get to him, and that's sort of how teams play him. So they don't get a lot of pressure on because Max is doing his, hand fighting, spin, 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 and then the ball's out. Like he can't do anything. So it's the kind of thing where I think this is the kind of game where Trev's just going to have the time to get there, find him open, and like I expected a big day, probably a bit more than but he'll be definitely involved in a gamble responsibly or two for me.
Yeah, I think I could be joining you on that one too. And the rookie wide receivers coming back after the bye, we always see a little bit of an uptick with them having that extra week to really, further develop.
Yeah, he was also don't forget, he was the number 2 pick. He was the best prospect, best wide receiver prospect, we've had for a long time. And yes, he's dual threat, and that's part of the reason why he went high, but he was picked by Liam Cohen as a wide receiver. So let's not just, let's not forget it. He was, he was a better talent coming out than almost anyone in recent history. So I fully expect that post-bye bump to happen as soon as this week.
Love it. My wide receiver start of the week going into the, leaning into that injury news that we had with Terry McLaurin being ruled out. Deebo Samuel up against the Seahawks. So again, no Terry. Jaden Daniels, their quarterback, is back. Thank God we don't need to watch Marcus Mariota anymore. Deebo had been dealing with a heel injury, which kind of limited his few performances. He did miss week 7. Only played 74% of the snaps against Kansas City, but that game was kind of done by the third quarter anyway there. But I think that extra week heel, Jaden Daniels back on deck, and also the matchup for Seattle. When Deebo was with the 49ers, he played Seattle quite a lot. I know the system's completely different. It was Kyle Shanahan, different quarterbacks, but I still think he might still have their number. In the 8 starts that Deebo's had against the Seahawks in his career, he's had just under 6 catches. I think it was 5.9 on average, and just over 95 receiving yards a game in 8 starts. So, and I think he scored 4 touchdowns across those 8 games as well. So him being the number 1, I don't think they lead much in this game whatsoever. So that'll in turn lead to Jaden Daniels being able to throw the ball to Deebo a bit more. Seahawks are very tough against the run. So Bill hasn't been that hot anyway. So I think they're just going to fully stop that out, and it'll be up to Jaden Daniels and those receivers, with Deebo in particular, getting this one done for week 9. So yeah, Deebo, even though it looks a bit tough on paper the last few weeks, we've seen what he's like when he is healthy, and without Terry, of course. The 2 games without Terry, week 4, week 5, Atlanta and the Chargers, 20.1 and 23.6 in both of those games. So yeah, should be a smash, I'm hoping, for Deebo this week.
Love that.
Tight ends, Secko.
I'm going with a guy who was very disappointing, like probably the most disappointing performance of the year last week. It's Jake Ferguson, and this is obviously a faith bet on the back of his goose. The goose was bad, but it was weird because it was tight ends day. We've already mentioned that a couple of times this week, but he's performed a lot better than most tight ends. So maybe he's treated as a wide receiver in the tight ends day. What do you call it? Merry-go-round. Everyone gets a touchdown, except for the good ones. But Dak was the reason. Dak looked bad. It was Denver. A lot of pressure. They're good against tight ends. It's sort of like one of those, every player can have a bad day, and he had a bad day and Dak had a bad day together. This is a big bounce-back spot, Monday Night Football against Arizona, who have historically and again this year been very lenient to tight ends and allowed a lot of those throws over the middle. Now, CD Lamb does come in and change a little bit from what we got at the start of the season, but don't forget, before last week, Jake Ferguson was averaging over 7 receptions per game. It's not targets, that's receptions. His pace was 131 receptions over the first 7 weeks, which that's 20 more than Brock Bowers got last year, which was an historic tight end season. It's 20 more than Travis Kelce's ever got in a season. And think about how many great seasons Travis Kelce's had. Ferguson was on track to absolutely obliterate anything Travis Kelce's ever done. So even a slight drop, even a 10, 15% drop in target rate will still be very, very, very good for Ferguson and keep him in that sort of top 5 or 6 tight end for the rest of the year. But this week you can fire him up with confidence. Forget that he had nothing last week and expect plenty of catches like he's been doing all year.
Big bounce back indeed. Yeah, hopefully a tight end touchdown for Jake Ferg 1 week late than we needed. But my tight end, and it is gross. I'm just going to keep diving into this well. Last time, unless it hits. I did have Dalton Kincaid last week, and I had a little backup in case Kincaid didn't play, and that was Colston Loveland. So I'm just going straight with Colston Loveland this week as my tight end start of the week. The best matchup for tight ends is the Cincinnati Bengals, and that's who they are playing. On top of that, DJ Moore is banged up. Luther Burden is in concussion protocol. He's every chance of missing. And also Cole Kmet is looking to miss this week again with that back injury. So everything is just lining up to Colston Loveland. I hope he did have the season high 81% last year in his season high targets, only 5. He only produced 3 for 38. But I think in this game, hopefully Flacco plays. This is a little bit dependent on that for this game to be, for the pace to keep up with scoring with where we need it to be. But the Bengals have allowed 10 touchdowns in 8 weeks to opposing tight ends. That's number 1 for the year so far in defenses. So yeah, I'm rolling with Colston Loveland. I absolutely love to be hurt on this, but I've picked him up in so many spots off waivers. He's still readily out there available as well. So if you do need a tight end spot start this week, I think Loveland could be a nice target.
He's available on waivers with good reason. But no, mate. If you can't do it this week, it's a bit of a Caleb Williams situation. If you can't do it this week either, there's big questions being asked out of Chicago. But he was a high pick. He's got talent. He was good in college. Surely he can do it against the worst team in the history of tight end defense. We'll see.
And if he doesn't, I think that roster percentage will drop from next week. All the times I'll be dropping him from my teams. But defense, Secko, we don't need to spend too much time on these ones. But who have you got for your defensive start of the week?
It's probably an easy one, but I'm going to go with my boys, LA Rams. Tyler Shuck's first start. He looked okay, but his game could literally be over after 2 New Orleans possessions, 2 pick sixes, which will probably hurt Puka. But it'd be good for the LA, the Rams DST. They're a 14-point favourite. They're at home. They're off a bye. The Bucks DST scored 28 last week. All these factors together, the Rams can't have a bad outing. So if you've got them or can pick them up, get them in your DST spot.
Shucks in a lot of trouble. My defensive start of the week, I'm taking the Detroit Lions up against the Vikings. They are at home and they are up against JJ McCarthy in his first start back after coming back from that injury. The Vikings O-line is banged up. Their starting center is on IR, and a lot of the left tackle, he's been dealing with a few injuries as well, not fully healthy. And I did mention at the start of the show, Aiden Hutchinson, their star pass or edge rusher for the Lions, he did sign that massive contract. I think he might have a couple of sacks. And selfishly, I'm kind of hedging my bets a little bit. I do hope JJ McCarthy has a big game. But in theory, I just don't think it's going to happen in this one against Detroit. So yeah, I do like the Lions to smash JJ and the Vikings this week when it's all said and done. That starts the week for week 9. We'll recap next week. We'll see how we go and go from there. But we will jump straight into our week 9 breakdown right now.
Let's preview the games for the week ahead. It's time for Game Talk.
Kicking things off, there is 4 teams on bye this week. We've got the Philly Eagles, Tampa Bay Bucks, and then a couple of teams that we don't really need to mention, but I have to, Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets. So 2 less games this week. Kicking things off, we did touch on Lamar a little bit at the start of the show, but he is kicking things off on Thursday Night Football over in the States. Heading to Miami, very favorable matchup. The Ravens are 7.5-point favorites, massive 51-point total. We absolutely love to see that. With our starts of the week at running back, I did kind of want to mention Derrick Henry, but it was just a bit too obvious in this. He has been a little bit down, but with Lamar, with the matchup, I think, those 2 guys are just going to be an absolute smash start. With the wide receivers and tight ends in this one, Secko, for the Ravens, we'll start off with. Zay Flowers, he had a decent game last week with Snoop Huntley. Rashad Bateman has been a little bit left for dead without Lamar. And the tight ends, it's been a bit of a carousel now that likely is back from injury. But out of these names, is there anyone that you're sitting pretty clearly out of this lot?
No, it's really hard with Lamar back. It's exciting times. So if you sort of have any of them, you probably want to start them all. Or probably not Bateman or below that. But I think Say Flowers is a really good start. He still can't score touchdowns, but he gets plenty of catches and plenty of yards. The tight ends are hard. Andrews will probably have a game at some point. It's just picking it is the problem, and then obviously likely they rate him. So I feel like he'll be part of game plans when he's fully fit off the bye. Last week. I'm not sure what they did last week, actually, but off the bye the week before, they should be getting a little bit more cohesion. And now Lamar's back. It could be big for everyone, or both of them. And Charlie Collar, don't get Charlie Collar.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The third guy.
He had a tight end last week, I'm pretty sure. National tight ends day, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
On the Dolphins side of the ball, Tua, it is a rough start, but I think it could be a nice little stream with how the defense has looked for the Ravens, and they should be behind a lot of this game, you'd think. So hopefully some more catch-up garbage time work for him. Jalen Waddle, in turn, you're starting him. He's looked great since Tyreek's gone down. The tight ends, with Darren Waller not there, I mean, Greg Dulcich got picked up, and then there's Tanner Connor. Nobody's probably heard that name before. You can't really start any of those guys, but Devon Achane, clear start. Anyone else you'd be looking to start from this one, Secko? I mean, Malik Washington, a little sneaky option, but what do you think?
We've mentioned him a couple of weeks now. He had an all right week last week, I think, from memory. It's sort of like one of those bye weeks for desperation sort of plays. I'm actually playing Malik in one of my dynasty leagues where I've got a few guys on bye, and sort of he can always pop up. The good thing about him is he's good enough, and with Tyreek not there is definitely a role. Last week he had 4 for 36 and a touchdown. He's had a couple of touchdowns this year, so 100%. He's flexible if you need him to. Ideally, you don't want to be starting him, but you're definitely not starting any tight ends. Achane, Waddle, I wouldn't even start Tua. Prime time. Prime time's not good for Tua.
Yep, very, very true. Very true. We'll move on. That was the first game of the week. Kicking things off with the early Monday morning slate here in Australia. The Falcons heading to New England to take on the Pats. The Pats are favourites, of course, minus 5.5 points for them, and it's 45-point total. Michael Penix looking like he will return to this one. Also Drake London as well. Would be good signs. For the Falcons, Secko, I know Bijan let us down in a smash spot up against Miami, but you're definitely not looking to sit him. I mean, do you think this could be a bounce back against the Patriots here?
And I'd be shocked if it wasn't. He's just that good. With Penix in, London outdoes so much more than what people realise to this team. Just the structure, just the setup. Like missing that, they can pretty much know that they can just put everything into the run when he's out, because it's just Mooney being number one guy. He's just not right. So, and Pitts, for all that we love Pitts for, he doesn't really garner a lot of defensive attention away from the run. So. London back in, Penix back in. I expect to be gone from Bijan. You can't be sitting him.
And Cole Pitts, you did mention him. Are you starting him this week if you do have him there?
Yeah. He's moved up. He's moved up into starting territory. He's done more than enough. He's by no means is he a smash. Was he a smash pickup or anything or a smash draft pick? But he's definitely been been valuable. He had 959 last week. It's really good in PPR leagues. That's it's decent. It's over 10 points in half PPR. If that's what you're getting from him, it still seems like a floor, which is great. He's not. Again, he's not that guy that we thought he was when he was drafted into the league, but he's performing well enough to be an every week starter.
Still can't believe that the Falcons took him over Jamar Chase. One pick in front. Yeah, that's definitely one they wish they could have back. For the Patriots, I mean, pretty easily. Drake May, Stephon Diggs, you're starting those guys. Kayshon Boutte, you could probably pencil him in for a touchdown. He just loves it for fun. Hunter Henry, I think if you have other options, I think you probably lean that way, but he's still not too bad there. Get some good work. But the running backs is really the only questionable thing here, Secko. So if Stevenson does go down, are you starting Henderson at all, or you just don't want anything to do until we see it to believe it?
If Stevenson's out, it's got to be enticing. Like it just has to be. Falcons is not a bad defense to do it against at home. He's going to get a lot of work. They're favourites. I don't know. I don't know. I'd start him. If Stevens there, I'd love to start him over anyone who's not a top 24 running back. Anyone who's not one of those sort of locked and loaded types. Just because you could have a game, this could be the pure breakout. He could have 2 scores. We saw it in preseason. Yes, it was preseason, but when he's given the opportunity, he can be electric. So if you're an underdog, you got a guy on bye, Saquon or someone, you could definitely chuck him in there and hope for the best. If Stevens is out.
Yeah, and you might be forced to with the 4 teams on bye, all solid running backs from each team that you don't have this week available to you. Moving on to the next game, this will be an absolute slaughter. I think the Panthers are heading to Green Bay to take on the Packers. The Packers are nearly 2 touchdown favorite, minus 13 points. Total is only 44. Packers side of the ball, you can probably you're starting Jacobs no matter what. He's that extra week. Hopefully healed from that calf injury. Jordan Love in turn, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Tucker Kraft, no doubt. I think Matthew Golden, Secko, this time for me, I've had enough of Matthew Golden. I think if he hadn't done it by now with all of the opportunities and now with Christian Watson back into the fold, I don't think he'll ever do it.
Yeah, I agree. Watson takes a lot of his snap share, and Golden's had more snaps and did far less with them last week. I think Watson's going to pass him. Jaden Reed's not far away as well, so it's sort of Golden stocks are trending pretty sharply down. So there's no way you can start him. He's almost borderline not rosterable at this point. Having said that, he's a rookie. He can come back. He can have a massive end of the season, but I just don't think it's as likely as some of the other rookies.
And for the Panthers, quickly, I mean, Ted McMillan, you're going to have to start him. It looks like Bryce Young will be back this week. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I think definitely an improvement with what Andy Dalton put on tape last week. But Ted McMillan, the running backs is a very murky situation. There's been some rumors about the Panthers potentially looking to move Chuba Hubbard, but I think they've put that to bed. They said they're not looking to do that at the moment, and they just paid him all that money. Why would you look to do that? But with the running backs in this game, are you leaning a certain way? And it is up against the Packers, who have been pretty solid against them this year.
Yeah, it's not a great matchup, but Canales came out during the week. It's head coach Dave Canales, Carolina, and pretty much said, I'm paraphrasing, but Chuba's done so much. He's a great leader. We want to give him an opportunity to perform coming out of his injury, but we can't deny that Rico's been great. So it sounds like they're sort of moving towards Rico being the lead back. Chuba won't go away though, but if you've got the 2 of them, I know a lot of Chuba owners picked up Rico, paid up for him in Fab when he went down. If you've got both, I would definitely start Rico over Chuba, but I'd probably look elsewhere for both. I think they're both outside that top 24 running back range this week against Packers.
And real quickly, Secko, are you starting any other receivers for the Panthers? Jalen Coker a couple of weeks back, and then Xavier Legette as well. We'll move on. We'll leave that there.
Coker's a stash. I mean, he showed a lot last year. If they come good, if Bryce Young's had another little break off like he had last year, come back from the break, he was really good and involved Coker quite a bit. Coker also came back from a pretty serious injury, so he might take a few weeks to ramp up. But you can stash him, but don't. He's not playable.
Moving on to the next game, one that we really hope that Flacco is playing in. Bears heading to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Bears are a field goal favorite, over 51.5 total. And with this, I kind of had here with the Bears being favorites away from home. Like, are they projecting Flacco out? But that total, is that total going to be there with Browning? I mean, Browning just looks so horrid, but it's a hard one to toss up. But on the Bears side of the ball, Secko, I mean, Colson Loveland, of course, you're starting him. DeAndre Swift, you can start him as well, for sure. I think if Browning does play, you might be able to spot start Monongai if you do need to, just given they should win a lot of this, be winning a lot of this game. Caleb Williams, you start him up against the Bengals. For the Bengals, however, I think probably the same thing, Secko. Like you're starting everybody if Flacco's there. Chase Brown's been good. Jamar Chase, no doubt, and T. Higgins have all looked apart so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to that line comment, I just can't see a world that they've got 51.5 points if it's Browning playing. So I think they're pretty confident Flacco's playing. It's also weird that the Bears are favourite on the road, but having said that, the Bengals can't win games. So it all makes sense. Yeah, look, we need Flacco to play to make anyone relevant for Cincy. We saw how Browning was. It wasn't just a week. I think it was 4 weeks. And Chase got a bit. He got a bit, but it just wasn't enough to make him a top flight guy. So from a Bengals point of view, they're pretty much all benchable, and the Flacco players, if he does play, probably the top three are all playable. No tight ends to talk about. The Bears, I think Monongai's a great shout. If Flacco's out, he's a really good play. We've seen him getting more and more every week. And goal line as well. He's more trusted on the goal line than he sort of was. So he's the sort of guy that everyone was talking about at the start of the season, who's going to be the Jamal Williams for Ben Johnson. Will it be Roshan Johnson or will it be Kyle Monongai? Sort of no one for a long time, but it looks like Monongai might sort of be that guy. And then obviously to watch this space for all of the receivers that aren't practicing as we currently speak.
And the next game, one that we don't really need to spend too much time on because the total is the lowest of the week. The Broncos heading to Houston to take on the Texans. Texans are favored in this one. That's probably just a home advantage. 1.5 points, 39.5 total, which is just like, I just don't. It's just going to be so disgusting. The Texans defense has been the only shining light that they've had so far. I mean, they've got Nico Collins back. You're going to start him. Broncos are without Pat Surtain, their star corner, probably for the next 2 or 3 weeks. They're thinking with that, I think it was a pec strain that he's dealing with, or it might have been bicep. Yep. But in turn, I mean, Nico Collins, is he probably the only one that you're comfortable starting in this matchup on the Houston side of the ball?
Surtain's out, which is great for Collins, but they've been good in general. Like even when he went down last week, the shackles didn't come off for Dak and CD and Pickens that much. So we'll see what happens. I can't believe that the Texans are favourite though. Like they've had one good game where they beat the 49ers. Before that, they were rubbish. So I'll probably have a go at but then the books know. The books know it's scripted.
They know.
Texans will win this game. Texans will win this game. Don't worry. And it'll be a low scoring game. So it's almost like no one's startable on the Texan side. You can't start running backs. You can't start Stroud, and it's just Nico and no one else.
And on the Broncos, I mean, Cortland Sutton, it is very tough against Derek Stingley and Kamari Lassiter there. But I mean, can you really sit him? Like with what you have, you mightn't have any other options out there. And then the running backs, I mean, J.K. Dobbins, he's been pretty good. RJ Harvey's starting to get worked in a bit more there. How are you feeling about the running backs in this one, Secko? And then also in turn, Bo Nix up against this defense.
Yeah, like so, Texas have been good as well against running backs, against sort of everyone. RJ Harvey getting more work. I mean, he had 3 touchdowns and he only played 31% of the snaps. So, it's not like he had a bump in play time. He's sort of consistent with what he'd been doing. He just got one long one and some fortunate plays. But if anything, it should mean he eats somewhat into Dobbins' playtime. And if Dobbins ever gets injured, it's wheels up. But I just don't think you can start them against the Texans. I think you just want to avoid this game altogether. It's Sutton. You can start Nix if you've got him. I wouldn't put him as a top 10, top 12 quarterback probably this week, just because of the matchup, the low score on the road, dogs as well. So, and he has been prone to some sort of vanishing acts, big game, small game kind of thing. So, you can almost just happily sit all of them, except for Sutton. And frankly, if you're in a pinch, he's got a bit of chemistry there, and he might get like on the end of one again. But I wouldn't start with any confidence, anyone really.
And the next game, a much more healthier total. The Colts are heading to Pittsburgh, taking on the Steelers. Colts are a field goal favorite, and the total is over 50.5 points in this one. And I think, Secko, quickly, we could probably just start everybody in this one. Like the total, both defenses have been pretty susceptible against the passing attack there. We saw the Steelers, they let up so much against Green Bay last week, and the Colts, they've been leaking a lot of points through the air as well. The only thing probably worth mentioning, Jonathan Taylor, you're definitely not looking to sit him whatsoever, but we did touch on in the captain's huddle, this might be the game where he doesn't pop off like we're used to seeing. How are you feeling about this one? Is there anyone you're looking to sit in this? Colts versus Steelers.
No, there's really not. Obviously, you're not sitting Taylor. Jalen Warren's been great. He hasn't scored a touchdown since week 1, and he's still been, a top 16 running back, which shows how much work he's getting. I'm not saying he's going to score, but teams generally do score against the Colts. We'll see what happens there. You're starting Pittman. You can even start Pierce at a bit of a pinch. Steelers are good against the run. They're rubbish against the pass. They've got a really overpaid and old secondary, made up with all stars from 2021. So yeah, I feel like even Downs, Pittman, Pierce. If you've got any of them, you can play them. Warren, obviously, you're playing. Jones, you're playing. So it's literally everyone from the Colts you're playing because you can't sit JT. And then Steelers is probably just the usual DK, Jalen Warren. Move on.
And moving on, the Chargers heading to Tennessee, taking on the Titans. They're 9.5-point favorites. Not surprising. And 43.5 total points in this one. The Titans quickly. I don't think you're starting anyone but maybe Tyjae Spears. Secko, how you feel on that one? Like, if you're in a pinch, like with the bye weeks, you're doing four running backs. That's really the only person I'd be looking to start in this one from the Titans.
Yeah, he's definitely the most startable, and he is startable because he's involved in passing downs more than Pollard and being underdogs, but being at home, it could be a positive for him. Chargers have been, if anything, they've been pretty leaky to some running backs, as well as the passing work there. So I think Spears is the only one you could start. Obviously, the new guy Chimere DK is gone all right, but he's due to have a bit of a fall from grace. And you got Ridley still out. Iamana he's not there. I think at Concord in practice we didn't go through an injury rundown, but there's probably some space for someone to shine a little bit. Chargers haven't been amazing, but Ward's just not making anyone viable at the moment.
Yeah, the vibes off. The vibes are completely off in Tennessee. I think they came out and said everybody's on the trade block except Cam Ward, and I think it's Jeffrey Simmons on the defensive side of the ball. So, you'd absolutely love hearing that as a player as you walk into the building. After that, for the Chargers, in turn, Kamani Vidal, your start of the week, no doubt. Justin Herbert, he'll be solid. Lad McConkey looks like he's kind of reclaimed his throne as the wide receiver one here. Keenan Allen, you probably start him, and Gadsden as well. They might need to limit expectations because the Chargers should just dominate this one out the gate. They might need to pass as much. One I do want to ask you about, Secko, Quentin Johnston completely blanked last week. He had such a hot start. What are you looking to do with him, in this one and also moving forward?
Yeah, so there's sort of two sides of that for me. He's coming back from injury, but he played 88% of snaps, so it's not like he was limited in any way. He was just playing the decoy go route, X receiver type guy. He just runs down the field and clears space for Gadsden to have a monster of a first half, and then obviously cleared space for McConkey as well. So no doubt McConkey's. It was a misnomer that the QJ was the new number one. Lad just had a couple of bad games. He was going to come back, but what's been interesting is Keenan Allen, while he's still there and fit, it's making it harder for Johnston now that Gadsden's there to get get a lot of that work. He was never really a high target guy, but he needed the big plays, and they're not really coming at the moment. Every chance it can happen. It takes one play for a guy like QJ to have 60 and a touchdown and make his day. So I just feel like he's not a locked in starter like he was 3 weeks ago, but you're probably going to start him over anyone that is sort of more dubious that we've sort of mentioned along the way. Those sort of Hail Mary type guys.
And the next game, we did touch on this one at the start of the show with Wet Socky making his return. Vikings taking on Detroit at Detroit. Lions 8.5-point favorites off the bye and a 48-point total. Bit surprising this total is a little bit low, but they're probably thinking maybe JJ can't handle the mantle that we probably need him to. But on the Vikings side of the ball, Secko, I mean, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, you're starting him. You might need to, again, temper expectations with JJ McCarthy coming back into the fold. TJ Hawkinson, I think, maybe against Detroit, a little revenge game narrative, perhaps. He might get a touchdown, but again, I wouldn't be leaning into that too much. He's looked horrid. I wouldn't be starting him. But the running backs, probably more so. Jordan Mason, we saw him, bit of a fall from grace with Aaron Jones back on deck. How do you see that one playing out for the running back room for the Vikings?
Yeah, I was massively surprised at how much work Jones got straight off the injury. I think I liked Mason last week a lot, and Jones just came in and took the majority. So I think it's going to be a split. It's hard to start either of them. Jones has a chance of taking the lead job back, which I never thought would happen once Mason got in there, but he hasn't been amazing. So I'll probably sit both. It's funny, the 48-point total, I feel like the Lions in divisional games don't slow down. They might put 48 points up by themselves. So if you're gambling responsibly, maybe have a crack at that. But yeah, you said it right. You can't start McCarthy. You can start the two receivers. You probably don't want to start T. Hawkinson or the running backs, and that's everyone.
And then for Detroit, pretty much everybody. Jared Goff, your start of the week. Jameer Gibbs. I think David Montgomery, if they are after a hot lead, you could probably ride him for a touchdown. He'll be okay. Amon-Ra, no doubt. Jamison Williams and Sam Laporta, Secko. Jamo has been an absolute disappointment. You know, even in the big games where they have needed him, they haven't really used him too much. And he's just so boom or bust. Are you looking to play him in this one if you do have him, or are you looking for other options against the Vikings?
Yeah, he's sort of entered that sort of that tier of quarterback where he's probably best option, but you might have lucked into picking up someone a little bit better, say Gadsden. So he's sort of like, he's not a must start by any means, but he's probably going to be started by most teams that have him. So he's had sort of, well, he's probably had 3 good games and 4 bad games in out of the 7 they've played, and it's sort of like you can't pick him. There's no real correlation between it. It's just a matter of, is it an entirely Amon-Ra game, or is it a Amon-Ra plus Laporta plus a bit of Jamo mixed in? So it's just a matter of, it's a bit of pot luck, but he's reliable. He's reliable half the time, which is not very reliable, but when he is, he scores really well. So he's hard to sit, but by no means is he a must play if you got someone who's definitely startable.
And then Laporta, in turn, he's out of the 7 weeks they've played, he's had 4 bus games, all under 7.5 points, and then the 3, everything's been over 13. He had a 20-point game in there as well. Is that, again, is this one like you just don't know which way it's going to go between Laporta and Jamison in a lot of these spots?
Yeah, that's, well, I was talking about Laporta, sorry, but it can be the same for either though. It pretty much does work the same way, but it's just so hard to predict, and it's frustrating to own them both or either. You probably want to start them. It's one of those, and that's the hardest thing in fantasy, is when you've got good players who can turn on any given week, who have pretty much a 50-50 boom bust rate. It's hard to sit them because you hate seeing the 20 plus on the bench, but you hate to see the 3 points on the field even more. So it's almost like a get them off your team, trade them out type feel, especially with Jamal Williams at the moment.
Yeah, and with Jamo, apologies. Yeah, I was too busy looking at his player card here. 48, 48th wide receiver overall for Jamison Williams. I know I drafted him high in a couple of spots. A couple of start-sit questions. I know we're spending a bit of time on this one, but Jamison Williams or Juwan Jennings in the next game that we're going to be talking about, if you had to pick?
If Purdy's in, Jennings. If Jones is in, Jamo.
Yeah, okay. Darius Slayton, also in that same game. Would you go that far deep? He's probably the wide receiver 1 there. Or not what? Him and one day will probably split it a little bit.
Yeah. I'd go Slayton.
Yeah,
I like what Dart's doing.
Well, there you go. And
49ers have been gashed, so they're not like what you think about them as a defense. So I'd go Slayton over Jamo.
And he's rostered in only 25% of leagues. So if you've got Jamo, I'll be looking for Slayton in a couple of spots. Next game, we did touch on this a little bit. The 49ers heading to New York, taking on the Giants. 49ers are minus 2.5-point favorites, 48.5 total points. I think they are indicating Brock Purdy to come back, so we hope to see that. CMC, start him every week, no question. George Kittle, now that he's back on deck, start him every week, no question. I do like Juwan Jennings in this spot purely because they've got no Pearsall, no Ayuk. I think you can start him, probably not with confidence, but I think he will play. On the Giants side of the ball, Secko, I mean, Jackson Dart, we're starting him. Darius Slayton, if you do have the option. Tyrone Tracy Jr., with that news to Cam Scatterbo, of course, being out for the year. If you did pick him up off waivers, are you rolling with him straight away, or do you want to see how that first week looks like without Scatterbo?
No, I think you can start him. I mean, if you, everything is. I think people think. I think I'm one of the minority that think that Scatterbo wasn't that special a player. For some reason, the narrative is that he's all pro level running back, but he's very, very good, obviously. But Tracy has the ability to be just as good in this offense. He won't battering ram people as much, but he's probably shiftier. He's a better receiver. He's probably a bit better in open space as well, in actually making people miss rather than putting his head down and just charging for yards. So if you've got him, I think this is the week. You can start him every week, really. But if you picked him up, you probably picked him up paying a lot of money for a purpose. So I guess you need to start him, and you can start him with confidence as a top sort of 20 guy easily for me.
Next game, we kick it off to the second slate of Monday morning, starting at 7:05 a.m. for us here in Queensland, an hour later if you're down there. Further, Jags taking on the Raiders, both coming off the bye in a dome in Las Vegas. Jags are a field goal favourite, just under 45 total points implied here. I mean, the Jags, Secko, Travis Hunter, you're starting him, no doubt. The running backs is probably the main concern here. Travis Etienne, he's had a couple of poor games. How do you feel about him in against the Raiders off the bye? And then do you think he gets a little bit more worked in, or how do you see that one playing out?
It's a tough one. Etienne's had a couple of bad games, but I still think it's his offense until something real bad happens. Tootin could get a bit more work post-bye, but this is the kind of game, it could be absolute shootout, 38 to 35, or it could be, 14 to 10. I can't pick what's going to happen in this game. It's very, very hard. What I do know is Hunter's going to feast, but yeah, I think Etienne's very startable. If you've got him, the Raiders just aren't a great defense, so they're exploitable.
I kind of have a feeling the Raiders might win this game. I know it's gross, but Brock Bowers back on deck. Jacoby Myers has logged a full practice, even though there's been those trade rumors. Yep. Ashton Genty off the bye. It really depends on Geno Smith, and if he doesn't look absolutely horrid. If he looks serviceable, we might be in for one. But is there anyone on the Raiders that you're clearly looking to sit in this one, or are you kind of running out the key guys in Myers, Bowers, and Genty?
Yeah, I think you can start them all. You're probably not starting Trey Tucker now that Bowers and Myers look to be back together. It's a bit hard. It is all relying on Geno. Jags defense haven't been too bad either, though. Don't forget. So it's not necessarily a smash spot for any of them. But I expect Genty to really kick into another gear and show why he was such a high pick, because he is really good. He's had some really good games, but he just has had limited opportunities in a bad offense more often than not, which has sort of dragged him back down. So yeah, I expect him to have a big game.
The next game is going to be an absolute slaughter. The Saints heading to LA, taking the Rams fresh off the bye. Rams 2-touchdown favorite in this one, 44-point implied total. And Secko, I'll give you the floor here with the Rams. I mean, how do you see this one playing out?
The way I see it playing out, the way it plays out, probably two very different things. Yeah. I see it playing out as a three-score lead halfway through the second quarter, where they just cruise. What's probably going to happen is the Rams will be down. Bookmark this: the Rams will be down 20 to 14 at halftime, and Shucks just run wild. But yeah, realistically, I think there'll be some defensive stops. I think it'll be a pretty easy game for Matt Stafford to bounce out to a lead, and then my only worry is how easy do they take it. Out of the bye, though, I don't think there's going to be much slowing down if they're up by 3 scores. They want to get back into his form. He's had a week extra rest, so I think start your Puka, start your Kyron, and you can start Matt Stafford at the moment. He's very much startable, especially against a bad defense.
And for the Saints, I mean, we can run over this quickly. I think it's really only Chris Olave that you might be looking to start in this one. Very hesitant about Kamara. His receptions just has not been there. But again, first game with Tyler Shuck, maybe Shuck decides to chuck it to Kamara more than what Spencer Rattler did. Rattler was kind of, taking off and running a little bit more. So, one to watch out. But yeah, he is he's just thrown in the deep end with his first start. This Rams defense off the bye, they're going to be out for blood and sacks in this one. But how do you feel about Kamara in this one, Secko? Are you looking to sit him if you do have him there?
Yeah, I'd sit him. I'd probably be at the stage now where I'd borderline drop him. Sounds really harsh, but he had 6 carries for 21. He's not getting catches. He's had less than 3.5 per carry, I think, in the last 4 games. He's just been, he's a shell of himself, and I feel like he's half retired. When they started talking about him being traded, and he was saying he'd just go and have pina coladas somewhere. I think that was him sort of saying, "I'm half the way out of the league already." So this is his last year, and if that's why it just sucks that Kendra Miller got injured, because he'd be an actual startable fantasy prospect at the moment if he was fit. But yeah, I'm out on Kamara completely.
And it looks like Devin Neal, the rookie that they had there, he is questionable with dealing with an ankle issue. So, I don't even know who they're going to be running out there. Might be head coach Kellen Moore lacing up the boots. On to the next game, and this will be the game of the week. No bias whatsoever, but the Chiefs heading to Buffalo, taking on the Bills. Chiefs are -2-point favorites. Disrespectful, but the Bills, they have looked a little bit horrid. But, I mean, going off regular season records, Josh Allen always seems to have the Chiefs number, but he just can't do it when it counts in the playoffs. Total is very healthy, 52.5 total points. I think this one can be a full-blown shootout. A lot of these games and matchups between Mahomes and Allen usually is. But for the Bills side of the ball, I mean, Khalil Shakir, probably the only one you're starting with confidence. I think Kincaid is still kind of dealing with that injury that he's coming back from. He only played 22% of the snaps last week. Hopefully, they didn't need him against Carolina, but hopefully, he can get a bit more time because they desperately do need him in that passing attack for the Bills. Are you starting anybody else, Secko? Like, how do you feel about Keon Coleman? Like, I already know the answer, but I have to ask.
You do have to ask. I dropped him in a league. That's where I'm at with Keon Coleman. He's good for 6 points every week. Yeah, that's not going to cut it. He hasn't had a touchdown forever. They don't seem to want to use him. Shakir's the clear number one. He's very startable. Josh Palmer's out. They have another guy. I can't think who it must be. There's another wide receiver.
Curtis Samuel.
You probably mentioned him.
Is that who he took it?
Curtis Samuel doesn't count. He doesn't count.
They've got Elijah. They've got Elijah Moore, but he hasn't really.
Elijah Moore, he doesn't play either. There's got to be someone that steps up. A little Jordan Humphrey type guy who probably step up for half a dozen catches. But yeah, it's just Josh Allen doing his thing. James Cook's a smash start, and then Kincaid, if he could be fitter after that rest last week. He definitely was rested, even though he played. He should be good. I feel like you're right. It's going to be a big scoring game. There's going to be plenty of guys getting scores. I feel like if you've got Cook and Allen, that could be the kind of unconventional stack that wins your week.
And on the Chiefs side of the ball, Kareem Hunt, that's I think he's going to be a smash start with Pacheco out. Rashad Smith, I can only really see him getting involved if they are behind in this game, maybe through the receiving. But again, it's not going to be enough to warrant a start with him. You'll have better options out there. And the receivers, Rashee Rice, he's going to be a smash start rest of the season. Mahomes has been lights out. You start Mahomes as well. Xavier Worthy in this game, I think you could probably pencil him in for a long play. And then Kelsey as well. It's just going to be so much going on. I think they're all going to be pretty viable. But anyone in here that you're looking at with caution on the Chiefs side of the ball, Secko?
We've sort of formed now that Rice is back. The wide receiver call has pretty much formed itself pretty clearly. Tyquan Thornton had done a job, he's gone. Marquise Brown had done a job, he's gone. These guys did bits and pieces. Juju did a bit for a while there, but now it's very clearly Rice, Worthy, and then Kelsey's still there. I think Rashee Rice is like I'm probably going to do I'm thinking about doing a rest of season rankings article at the halfway point. And I think Rashee Rice is going to be my wide receiver 3. It might be spicy, but I think I said it last night on the pod. He's just a layup for 6 targets every game, 6 catches every game, because he doesn't drop them. He has an 83% catch rate over the last 2 years because he's getting good targets. So good targets help, right? If you get a lot of targets from a good good quarterback, and he's dangerous with ball in hand, and so it's just cheat code type stuff. And he's if you hold on to him, you've done a great job because you've got a locked in gun. Every year it's up there with your JSNs of the world.
Enough of the Chiefs. Go Bills in that one. Moving on to the last game on Monday, Sunday Night Football over the States. Seahawks heading to Washington, taking on the Commanders. Seahawks are a field goal favorite. 47.5 total points there. So, in turn, that's the Jayden Daniels effect. He's going to lift up the offense for the Commanders. Seahawks have been very good on the road. I do expect them to win this game with the amount of injuries that the Commanders are dealing with. But starting off with the Seahawks, Sam Darnold, you're starting him, Jackson Smith and Jigba, your guy, Secko. He's just been absolutely lights out. That doesn't look to slow down. The running backs is probably the more questionable thing here. With them projected to lead, you could probably pencil in Charbonnet to get an end zone or a few end zone attempts. It's just, it's not really sustainable, not a lot of opportunity. And then Kenneth Walker's in the same boat. Like, he needs to rip off a big run to make his day worth it. But how do you feel about the running backs in this one?
I think you hit the nail on the head there with Charbonnet, because he profiles to get a lot more of that bash work in tight, and I feel like it's they're not going to run away with this one necessarily, but they're going to be probably in front for a lot of it, and it's just going to profile as that. Kenneth Walker's due for something though. It's going to happen eventually. Last week, Kareem and Pacheco both did okay against the Commanders. It's the kind of game where Kenneth Walker's probably got more talent than both of them. He definitely does, and ability at this stage of their careers. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if we're watching this game on Monday lunchtime, and you see Ken Walker just rip a 50-yarder. It's that he's overdue for one of them. So I think if you got them, you can start them. I wouldn't be scared to start Charbonnet at all, though.
And for the Commanders, Jayden Daniels, of course, if you do have him. But again, temper expectations. He probably won't run a lot in this one. Deebo Samuel, my start of the week. I'm definitely keen on starting him. And I think even Zach Ertz in this matchup, Secko, you can probably start. The Seahawks, they've been leaking some points in that area of the field. The only one for me that is a hard sit is Bill Krosky-Merritt. A lot of people will have that decision. He's looked horrid, and the Seahawks just absolutely shut down the run on this one. But how do you see this one playing out on the Washington side of it?
Yeah, I agree. Ertz is definitely startable. This week against Seattle, they can give up there, and I agree with Bill. I think this is a definite hard sit. The positive is that there's some easier matchups for him later in the season if you've got him. So don't stress too much. There's a bye there, but there's some games you'll get there, and I feel like he's still got a lot to show. He's still a rookie, and they do come good. He's obviously had some good periods, but he's played. He's played 7 games of professional football, so. He could come good, but this week I think if you got him, you sit him. And I love your Deebo start. It's definitely the kind of game. He's fitter again. He's got Jayden Daniels. This could be a monster.
Fingers crossed. And the last game of the week, Monday Night Football, Cardinals taking on the Cowboys in Dallas. Cowboys are favourites in this one, minus 2.5 points, and it's the biggest total of the week with 53.5 implied total here. Secko, I think we could be quick on this one. I'm just going to say I think you can start just about everybody. I'm trying to think of someone that you could sit. I mean, the running back, Bam Knight for the Cardinals, looks to be the starter, has the goal line role. Probably pencil him in for a touchdown. Gamble responsibly, of course. I mean, Kyler's my start of the week. Jake Ferg on the Cowboys side of the ball is your start of the week. I mean, is there anybody here that you're worried about in this matchup whatsoever?
No. I struggle to trust Marvin Harrison ever, but playing the Cowboys, playing the Cowboys has to be that. It's like that game he had, I think it was in week 4 when everyone was hanging it on him and he had that big touchdown and got emotional. It's that kind of moment again for him where he's sort of just been treading water a bit. But yeah, like Bam Knight's a great start. I'm with you on the touchdown guarantee. Gamble responsibly, of course, but if you are going to do that, I think it's a good little addition into your same game. And everyone on the Cowboys side, you nailed it. Javonte, Ferg, Pickens and Lamb. Dak, massive bounce back. So, But I just think it's going to be a 3.5. The implied point total of 28, 29 for the Cowboys. That's 4 or 5 touchdowns. They should be able to have an absolute field day.
Can't wait to watch that one and to close out the week. Hopefully we are blessed with that. They are all of our game breakdowns and primer for week 9. Going through all that, we will get into some questions, but of course, if you are watching this on YouTube, please give that like button a big old smash. If you like Wet Socks in particular, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and you'll be notified when we are dropping shows. Again, we drop shows 6 times a week at the moment currently, so that'll continue to progress to multiple shows throughout the rest of the year. If you do want to stay in touch outside of the shows, we are all on socials. Myself at Mullin_FF, Secko at Secko_IFS, Mav is at IFS Maverick, and then of course the Insight FS Sports on X, and then Insight NFL Fantasy, I believe, on Instagram. So make sure to tune in there. We drop posts all throughout the week there to make sure to stay in tune. So we will get to our comments. Thanks everybody throwing these in. We will limit these to start, sit decisions or trade dilemmas in SuperCoach, because we do have a lot of SuperCoach questions always coming through here. Let's just bring this up from Jay up. Thanks for throwing this in. I'm 2-6. I traded away Bucky and Charbonnet for Genty and Harvey. How do you feel, Secko? I know for me, I'm super high on Bucky. Him and Genty, you could probably put them in the same tier purely because Bucky's with that injury. And Charbonnet and Harvey, I mean, Harvey's probably got the best long-term, kind of situation outside of compared to Charbonnet. Maybe 2-6, he's probably thinking Bucky's on bye, injured, and then, you get Genty back from injury. So I like that from that spot. But how do you feel on this one?
Yeah, that's exactly my point. Look, it's been very quiet out of Tampa Bay on Bucky, which is quite concerning. We always just thought after the bye, because he wasn't put on IR, it was 3 weeks, then the bye. Everyone was like, "Oh, yeah, it's just obvious layup spot to he'll be back after the bye," but they haven't mentioned anything. We're getting to it only a week away, so it's quite a concern. So if he's out for more, this is a smash. If Bucky misses week 10 and 11, for me, it's a smash because I really think Genty's going to have a pickup. I might be wrong there. I think him and Bucky will be pretty similar rest of the season when they're playing. So if you get a week or 2 extra, you're getting definitely a week more. You might get 2 or 3 weeks more out of Genty than you would out of Bucky. And then Harvey, if Dobbins goes down, this is. I mean, Charbonnet's doing a bit of work. You hate starting him. He's in a split backfield. It's a bit gross. He might get a touchdown. He might not. Harvey's pure upside. If Dobbins goes down, I think Harvey's a league winner. So it's 2-6. Genty gets you some wins that you wouldn't have got with Bucky in there, and I think you're not losing much Charbonnet to Harvey. So I love it. I think it's great at 2-6. 6-2, I wouldn't love it as much, but 2-6.
A nice one there, Jay. Up from Weave, we do have start sit decisions. Which 2 out of Metcalf, Jefferson, Rome, and Nico should I start? So we'll start off with that. Second, I will pull up the fixtures. So Metcalf is up against the Colts, Jefferson up against the Lions, Rome against the Bengals, and Nico off the concussion is up against the Broncos without Pat Surtain. So how are you feeling with the wide receivers?
It's so hard. Rome is my first choice because he's playing the Bengals. Yeah, and he might not have any competition or they're hampered. Metcalf's a no for me. Jefferson or Nico, no Surtain. They're the favourites. I'd go Jefferson, Rome.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm the same there too.
Wet Sock makes it hard, but I'll still go Jefferson and Rome.
He'll come through. He'll come through with the goods, and then also the tight end.
I've got blind trust. The blind trust that you're giving me.
We'll see. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite us. But tight ends here, would you start Gadsden over McBride or Warren this week? I wouldn't. No, personally, I'm starting McBride up against the Cowboys. That's smash. Even Tyler Warren, the matchup against the Steelers. I mean, we saw what Tucker Kraft did against them, and Tyler Warren plays a similar play style as well. So yeah, definitely, I'm starting. I'm probably McBride, then Warren, then Gadsden for me in that order.
He's got a smash team. I'm guessing this is actually SuperCoach now because it's too good a team otherwise to have all those players, but not necessarily, but it looks like it is. Yeah. But yeah, I would rank them. I'll rank it from the top. Rome, Jefferson, Nico, Metcalf, and I would go McBride, Warren, and Gadsden in order.
Yep.
Just be prepared for a letdown on Gadsden this week.
In lockstep with you there. Another one from Weave. Thanks for filling this in. Would you rather start Broncos or New England this week? New England at home against the Falcons, and Denver on the road against Houston without Surtain. But I mean, that O-line, like Denver, the amount of times that they rush the pass and like how well they've been and how shaky that Houston O-line is, I mean, it could spell a bit of trouble.
He took no sacks, though. Took no sacks last week.
Yeah,
Stroud, O-line held up. I mean, I know that the Niners haven't got a great pass rush, but I would probably start the Broncos, though, because they're more likely. It's a lower over-under. I feel like it's going to be a real stodgy game. They'll get takeaways, they always do, and Stroud loves giving them up. So, yeah, I'd go that way.
One here from Charles. Charles, thanks for throwing this in again. I just love seeing that double Brisbane little icon there. Darren Waller will ever? Do you think Darren Waller will ever get another game? What a bad trade. I mean, I know he's on IR. I'm not too sure, Secko. I can't remember if they thought it was going to be longer. No, he's expected to return this year, but when will he be back? He'll be back. They've got a bye week 12, so probably back after that week 13. Yeah, Saints, Jets, and Pittsburgh. So I mean, yeah, he'll probably play again
if he does come back.
Yeah.
Good play. Yeah, he was much better than I thought he'd be. He's much fitter, much more impactful. They need him. Tyreek's not coming back. They'll need him to play, even if McDaniels has gotten the arse by then. I still think they'll want him back. So he'll play again. It's if this is a SuperCoach question, it sucks because you're not going to be able to ever use him, and he hasn't made enough money. So if he means bad trade in. I don't know if he means bad trade. They didn't really trade for him, the Dolphins. But it just sucks. It's bad luck. Again, the method was there. All the process existed. Just sometimes you get unlucky in this game.
And the last question before we close this out from Piggy Barnes was looking. This is a SuperCoach question, no doubt. Was looking for a 3.6 mil. Nuff at running backs, a little cash cow perhaps, but may get game time, though injury. Got a couple to choose from. Devin Singletree from the Giants, definitely don't pick him. Corin from the Rams, don't pick him. All the Saints back up, or would you just take Henderson at 4.6?
Oh, no. Just get the new starting running back for the Patriots. Yeah, get Hendo.
Yep.
He'll be a top 20 back by the end of this year. Don't you worry about that. No,
clip that.
Of those selections, Henderson's the option because he may get games. He may be valuable bench cover when you get right to the end. You run out of trades. You may need someone to play and just fill a hole and maybe get you a 15 or a 20, just to get your score ticking over the end of the season. So I'd go Hendo.
Yeah, no, me too. That guys, thanks heaps for all those questions. We'll wrap this up here. Last show of the week with our week 9 prime and starts of the week. We will touch back to see how that goes. Again, links to the previous trade talk show for SuperCoach that ran live last night will be in this video, and also our players to buy low and sell high that we dropped early in the week as well. We'll be here as well for your pleasure. But guys, best of luck for week 9. We'll be back all again Monday, and hopefully JJ McCarthy wet sock will be our cover photo to kick things off. So
okay,
thanks heaps.
Talkie. Goodbye,
See
everyone.
you later.